Welcome to Untested Gaming, where we make builds for your favorite fictional characters for Pathfinder 2e. Today we have a patron selected build. Join the Patreon to vote for what gets featured on the channel next. Link in the description. To celebrate the return of KDA, we're building Kaisa, a little girl who somehow survived in an eldritch dimension of pure dark energy until adulthood and somehow came out wearing lipstick and eyeliner with a perfect bob. I might be jealous. For our goals for this build, we need to become a living weapon. Every encounter you survived in the Void gifted you with even more mysterious enhanced abilities. We need a second skin. The Void gave you as many defensive abilities as it did offensive. Whether that skin is hard as steel or the ability to go completely unnoticed, you'll need to be flexible enough to survive any landscape or plane of existence. We also need to be able to hunt down and destroy any otherworldly beings we may encounter in the normal realm. Kaisa is a human under there somewhere. We'll take our free boost in dexterity and intelligence. We'll take the last survivor background for boost to wisdom and dexterity. We also get training in the medicine and undead lore skill and the battle medicine feat for free. This allows you to attempt a medicine check to restore hit points to yourself or an ally even during combat. Afterwards, the target of this becomes immune to battle medicine for 1 day. We'll take the versatile heritage for a free general feat. Fleet gives us an extra 5 feet of movement speed. For our ancestry feat, we'll take Gloomseer. All that time in the void gave you low light vision, obviously. Kaisa is first and foremost a survivor, and now she devotes herself to ridding Runeterra of the invading void spawn by hunting them down wherever they make themselves known. Sounds like another flavor of ranger to me. Level 1 rangers gain a boost to either strength or dexterity, and access to the hunt prey action allow them to single out a perp to convict. Doing so gives us a +2 bonus to perception on a seek action and a +2 on survival checks to track the target. We also get to choose a hunter's edge. Precision gives us an additional 1d8 precision damage the first time we strike our hunter prey every round. This bonus increases to 2d8 and 3d8 at levels 11 and 19 respectively. For our class feat, we'll take Gravity Weapon. This unlocks our focus pool and gives us 1 focus point we can use for the Gravity Weapon Warden spell. We can spend an action to give our weapon attacks bonus damage equal to twice our weapon damage dice. Since we're reflavoring a crossbow for our attacks at level 1 with Gravity Weapon, our first strike against our hunted prey every turn will deal 1d8 plus 2 piercing damage plus 1d8 precision damage. It's only up from there, folks. For our initial skill training, we'll take Acrobatics, Arcana, Athletics, Occultism, Stealth, and Thievery. For ability boosts, we'll increase Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Wisdom. All that time in the Void allowed you to better sense the presence of magical anomalies in your area. Arcane Sense allows you to cast Detect Magic as a first level innate spell, allowing us to detect the presence of any ongoing magical item or effect within a 30-foot emanation. There has to be a reason Kaisa was able to survive where none of her kin were able to. A mysterious patron, perhaps? The Witch Dedication gives us a familiar that acts as a conduit for our spells. We'll go Curse for occult spells. Our familiar knows 1 cantrip that we can prepare daily. Your familiar can be anything for now. We'll get something specific later. Kaisa didn't start out as a killing machine. Her first void boon was a coating on her forearm as hard as steel that she could use to defend herself. Shield raises a magical shield until your next turn, granting a +1 circumstance bonus to our AC. If we use this shield for a shield block, we won't be able to use the spell again for 10 minutes. The big distinction here is that this doesn't require a free hand, meaning we can continue to reload our crossbow with our free hand. We'll take our skill training in Intimidation. Level 3 rangers get Iron Will for better will saves. We also get a skill increase, so we'll up our stealth to Expert. Armored stealth reduces the noise we make from wearing armor while sneaking. We're wearing Scale Mail for now, so we can reduce the penalty by 1. Once we're mastered, there will be no penalty to stealth while wearing this at all. At level 4, we'll take the Running Reload feat to lock in our core combat loop. With our 3 actions, we'll cast Gravity Weapon, take our shot with our preloaded crossbow, stride while we're loading to either close more distance to a fleeing enemy or fall back to kite an encroaching enemy. After our first round, we can use our last action each turn to either stride again or use our shield spell. Shadow Mark helps us get in close with our opening salvo by giving the targets of our Avoid Notice action a -2 penalty on their perception to notice us while we follow them. Level 5 rangers get Trackless Steps so we can cover our tracks while moving at full speed. Weapon Expertise gives us expert proficiency in simple and martial weapons. We also gain the critical specialization effects while attacking our hunted prey. For the crossbow, that means pinning enemies to a nearby wall on a crit. We'll pick up Darkseer for dark vision. We'll also gain expert acrobatics and training in diplomacy. For ability boosts, we'll increase strength, dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom. At level 6, we'll pick up a few more abilities from the Void with basic witch spell casting. For a first and second level spell slot, Magic Missile is our Acathian Rain. This fires out a bolt of magical energy that deals 1d4 plus 1 force damage and automatically hits any creature within 120 feet. We can spend more actions to fire additional bolts up to a maximum of 3 bolts for 3 actions. We can upgrade this living weapon style by heightening it. Each 2 levels we heighten the spell will add an additional bolt to the spell. Invisibility makes a creature in touch range undetectable by sight for up to 10 minutes. This spell ends once the target uses a hostile action. This is normally the upgraded version of our supercharge, but we're working a bit backwards here. Assurance lets us choose an ability we're at least trained in and allows us to forgo the die roll for a flat plus 10 to skill checks related to that skill. We'll use this for our stealth skill since staying invisible during combat isn't viable just yet. Level 7 Rangers get evasion for master reflex saves and critical success results on regular successes. Vigilant Senses increases our perception of master. Weapon specialization gives us an additional flat 2 damage on our crossbow since we have expert proficiency currently. We'll use our skill increase for master stealth so we can take swift sneak. This allows us to move at our full movement speed while sneaking. Level 8 basic witch spellcasters gain a 3rd level spell slot. Haste is our supercharge. This gives a creature within 30 feet the quicken condition, giving them an extra action at the start of each round. The extra action can only be used for a strike or a stride. This means we can still move or attack without needing to sacrifice casting a spell that round. We'll take Enhanced Familiar, allowing us to select up to 4 abilities for our familiar each day. We also have the true form of whatever our familiar we selected back at level 2. Our little Voidling is actually a spell slime. Thematically, I like to consider this the massive structures on Kaisa's shoulders, since the slime is amorphous anyway. 3 of its familiar abilities are set for us, but the 4th ability I like taking is Cantrip Connection, allowing us to prepare an additional cantrip each turn. Daze gives us some extra damage by allowing us to inflict our intelligence modifier on a creature. Additionally, if they critically fail a will save, they will be stunned for 1 round. The Experience Tracker feat allows us to track at our full speed by taking a -5 penalty to our survival check. Eventually, we won't be paying this penalty at all. Level 9 Rangers get Nature's Edge, which makes enemies flat-footed against us if they are in difficult terrain. Ranger Expertise increases our Ranger DC to Expert. We'll use our skill increase for Master Acrobatics. Haughty Obstinacy is an ancestry feat that gives us the critical success results on regular success against mental effects that attempt to control our actions. Additionally, any target that fails to coerce us using Intimidation gets a critical failure instead and cannot attempt to coerce us again for a week. After growing up in the void, it's going to take a little more than mundane attempts to influence us. At level 10, we'll pick up some adaptive camo with the Camouflage class feat. This allows us to attempt to sneak while in natural terrain, even while being observed. Our stealth doesn't stop there though. The Foil Senses feat allows us to take into account special senses during our sneaking, avoiding notice, or hiding. This is a functional upgrade on our usual attack pattern. Now, in addition to reloading during our stride, we can attempt to sneak with assurance at full move speed even though we've just attacked our enemy and are presumably being observed. We get some skill training at this level that we'll use for religion. For ability boosts, we'll increase dexterity, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. Level 11 Rangers gain Juggernaut to increase our fortitude saves to master. Medium armor expertise for expert proficiency in light armor, medium armor, and unarmored defense. Wild Stride lets you ignore non-magical difficult terrain and lets you treat greater difficult terrain as regular difficult terrain. We'll use our skill increase for expert survival. Incredible Initiative gives us a +2 circumstance bonus to initiative rolls. Godless Healing gives us an additional 5 hit points on treat wounds and battle medicine attempts we perform on ourselves. This also lowers our immunity to repeated attempts from 1 day to 1 hour. We'll start opening up more void abilities with Expert Witch spell casting. Now we can cast a 4th level spell each day. We're going back to our level 2 spells to heighten invisibility to level 4. Now we can perform hostile actions and remain undetectable, but the duration is reduced to only 1 minute. Still plenty of time for our fight. Now we stealthily fight and sneak move even while outside of difficult or natural terrain. Definitely save this for those city and town fights. Level 13 Rangers gain Weapon Mastery for master proficiency with simple and martial weapons. We'll use our skill increase to become a master in survival. Kaisa's abilities are most useful for taking down other void users like herself. Witch Warden grants a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against curses and spells by witches and hags. Additionally, if we would succeed on a check against a spell cast by a witch or a hag, we get a critical success instead. Level 14 Expert Witch spellcasters can cast 5th level spells, while finally gaining access to our Void Secret ability with Shadow Blast. This deals 5d8 of our choice of acid, bludgeoning, cold, electricity, fire, force, piercing, slashing, or sonic damage to enemies who fail a reflex or will save, their choice. We can cast this in a 30-foot cone, a 15-foot burst within 120 feet, or a 50-foot line. Patron's Breath gives us an additional spell slot on each spell level we have besides our 2 highest. Planar Survival allows us to subsist anywhere on any plane we happen to find ourselves on, whether we would normally be able to subsist there or not. So basically, Kaisai had this before any other ability, but we're grabbing it at level 14. Better late than never. Level 15 Rangers gain incredible senses for legendary perception, improved evasion for even better reflex saves, and greater weapon specialization for greater base weapon damage. For our skill increase, we'll raise our acrobatics to legendary. We'll take the toughness feat for extra max HP equal to our level. We also reduce the DC of our recovery checks to 9 plus our dying condition value. For ability scores, we'll raise dexterity, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. At level 16, we finally gain access to our ult with the terrain transposition warden spell. While we're in a wilderness environment, we can teleport up to 90 feet away to a clear space we can see. The only drawback to this is we can't bring our familiar along for the ride unless your GM is cool with it. It was either this or take 3 monk feats for abundant step, but these builds should always be considered as jumping off points for your characters anyway. Change stuff up to suit your idea of the character as you see fit. We'll pick up Catfall so we no longer take fall damage. We also get a level 6 spell slot. Not a whole lot in character for this spell level, but Heightening, Shadow Blast, or Magic Missile can act as living weapon upgrades on those abilities. Level 17 Rangers gain Masterful Hunter for an increase on our Ranger DC to Master. We also gain a +4 bonus to seek actions against our prey, as well as survival checks to track them. We also gain a skill increase that we'll use to increase our stealth proficiency to legendary. Stubborn Persistence lets us avoid becoming fatigued by attempting a flat DC 17 check. This doesn't remove the underlying cause of the fatigue, and we'll have to attempt a check again at regular intervals as determined by your GM. At level 18, we'll pick up Perfect Shot. This allows us to use 3 actions to make a single strike with our crossbow. If we hit, our turn immediately ends if we have any actions left, but in exchange, our strike automatically does its full damage. With our gravity weapon up, and assuming we have our major striking rune, that's a guaranteed 62 damage on a single target every turn, assuming we're quickened. At next level, that increases to 70 damage thanks to gaining our final Ranger Precision die. Legendary Sneak lets us bring our camouflage out of a natural setting by allowing us to hide and seek at all times without concealment or cover. Level 19 Rangers gain Second Skin to increase medium and lower types of armor to master. We also can rest normally in medium and light armor, which is kind of necessary for a woman who physically isn't able to remove her cursed living armor. Swift Prey lets us select our hunted prey as a free action as long as it's our first action of the turn. We also get a skill increase for Legendary Survival, which we'll need for Legendary Survivalist. Ironically, this lets us completely negate the survival mechanics of the game by allowing us to survive anywhere without food or water and taking no damage from incredible heat or cold. At level 20, we'll pick up some crafting training because we're just too smart for our own good. We're also smart enough for our first and last major lesson. We'll select the Lesson of Protection, giving us access to the Blood Ward Hex, which isn't that great at level 20. It gives us or an ally a +2 circumstance bonus to AC or saving throws against attacks and spells made by a type of creature we designate when we cast the spell. What we're really here for is our third focus point, and also giving our familiar the Mage Armor spell. If for some reason you aren't able to upgrade your armor with a full suite of runes, you can heighten Mage Armor up to 6th level and cast it on yourself instead. Now that we're level 20, let's look at the pros and cons of this build. For starters, this is one of the cheesiest builds I've done on the channel so far. Being able to run, shoot, hide every round, and eventually stride and shoot twice a turn when we gain our haste is pretty sweet. Assuming we're on flat land or in the wilderness, no enemy will be able to escape our DPS. But even before the fight, there's no hope for our enemies. Between invisibility and legendary stealth, we can get as close as we want to stalk our prey and get in the most favorable position possible, whether we're in natural terrain or not. Lastly, even if we somehow do end up taking enemy attacks, we've got decent HP and AC to back it up. For cons, crossbows just kinda suck. Needing to spend an action to reload and lacking the volley trait means we miss out on taking some of the best damaging ranger feats. We also aren't using our familiar to its best. Taking Spell Slime isn't great since it locks us into 3 familiar traits we don't necessarily have a use for, and our turn economy is basically spent with our shield, sneak, shot strategy, so we won't be using it for much besides a bit of flavor and an extra spell slot maybe. But if those are a deal breaker, maybe the Rift just isn't for you. Just team up with your friends and start a K-pop group in an alternate modern universe instead. Thanks for tuning in for another build. Like and subscribe for a new build every week. A big thank you to my first patrons, Dylan and Michelle. I'm now a legitimate YouTuber. Monetization be damned. If you want to support me directly, feel free to join the Patreon or purchase character sheets directly from my Gumroad. Links are in the description. See ya.